It's a muscle type of injury, I was told, one that responds to rest a little bit, which is why I think it took a little longer. But given that fact, I think there's an argument to be made, why rush it for Saturday when you get 3 days till the next game? Mm-hmm. The Leafs, aren't in one of those situations where their schedule is going crazy in this exact moment. So, I don't want to say he's 100% back on this game, because you're right, it is a mystery.
What
More
caused
bad news
Auston
has hit
Matthews' captaincy to become a central concern for the Maple Leafs today? And how could this affect the team going forward? New public statements placed strong weight on his position and connected his leadership to the results the club is dealing with at this moment. This shift now frames the larger discussion around the team's direction. A former Toronto Maple Leafs general manager stated that giving the captaincy to Auston Matthews was a huge mistake. The comment was shared through a recent discussion and was delivered plainly. The same individual said the team elevated the wrong figure when Matthews received the C. These remarks started wide talk around leadership inside the Maple Leafs locker room. Matthews became the 26th captain in team history on August 14th, 2024. He is also the first captain from the United States in the long history of the Maple Leafs. Before becoming captain, he led the team in goals for several seasons and reached major scoring marks early in his career. These numbers placed him among the most productive players in the league. The former executive said the role of captain must show daily leadership. He stated that the C should not be based on goal scoring or star status. He pointed out that the team needed a figure who could direct teammates during long stretches and remain steady in games where the team struggled. He said that defenseman Morgan Rielly would have been a better choice because of his on-ice consistency. These comments gained more attention due to the Maple Leafs season so far. The team has dealt with problems related to injury, defense issues, and hard losses. Analysts noted that the pressure on the captain grew as the team worked through long stretches of inconsistent play. Leadership became a stronger part of the public conversation as the season moved forward. Some observers said that Matthews' scoring pace this season dropped from earlier years. They also said that his performance showed smaller bursts instead of long runs of steady production. These points were used to question whether he could carry the full weight of captaincy during the team's tougher weeks. Recent reports also repeated concerns that his best years may already be past. This claim was made after a stretch where Matthews went through several games with reduced scoring and fewer high-impact plays. These comments added pressure as discussions about leadership expanded in the news cycle. The former executive linked these concerns directly to the captaincy. He said the team needed a leader who could speak up, guide teammates on the bench, and push consistent play across each line. He said these qualities were required for a club trying to move forward in a season with high expectations. Analysts have said that the Leafs continue to face pressure because the team has not reached the third round of the playoffs in decades. This detail is part of the Maple Leafs' long history. It is repeated often when discussing leadership, team structure, and expectations for top players. These points are now part of the current captaincy debate. This season added more challenges. Toronto went through long scoring droughts, defensive breakdowns, and missed chances in key games. The team also faced outside pressure to perform at a higher level. The captain is part of each major shift, each line change, and each result. This makes the captaincy topic even more central to the team's news coverage. When the former executive said the team needed stronger day-to-day leadership, his words were repeated across major conversations. He said the Leafs needed direction, discipline, and clear guidance during tough games. He said that the captain must hold players together when results fall short. These comments connected directly to the current season. Analysts said the team had games where strong periods were followed by sudden drops. They said the team needed steadier play across all lines. They also said the team required a leader who could deliver pressure-proof communication. As the season continues, every part of the Maple Leafs' performance is being reviewed. Each shift by Matthews is watched. Each scoring chance is noted. Each injury update creates new discussion. Each win or loss adds to the public conversation around the captain. Right now, the statements made about Auston Matthews' captaincy continue to shape news about the team. The remarks arrived fast, spread across many discussions, and brought new focus to the way the Maple Leafs move forward this season. Every part of the situation is connected to leadership, performance, and the future of the club as it stands today.
Sometimes we've scored more goals. So I look at it really in a couple of areas in particular.
we just got to play a more connected game, starting defensively. We've given up too much, and that's on our whole group, from our goaltending right through our whole group. We've given up too much defensively. That was not that wasn't this team last year, right? So we've given up too much defensively. We're not playing connected.
Brad Treliving just did exactly what Toronto feared, and the results are now showing on the ice. The Maple Leafs have lost 7 of their last 8 games. Their structure is breaking down, and there has still been no meaningful roster move to fix the slide. Toronto hoped the mistakes from his past would not follow him here, but now they are becoming impossible to ignore. The Maple Leafs entered this season with high expectations. They had a veteran roster, an established core, and a front office built to push them deeper in the playoffs. But the recent stretch has exposed something deeper. The team is slipping fast, and the general manager has not taken the steps many expected during this downturn. The Leafs their 7th loss in 8 games. During a stretch like this, many teams make adjustments, but Toronto has waited, and that delay has become a major focal point. Brad Treliving arrived after his time in Calgary, where similar patterns existed. In Calgary, the roster saw players leave, contract talks stalled, and depth became a repeated concern. Those issues followed him through multiple seasons, and now the Leafs are showing signs of the same challenges. A new tension formed when no changes were made, even as the losses stacked up. The Leafs continued with the same combinations, the same issues in the defensive zone, and the same struggles with pressure. The expectation was that the front office would react quickly, but the reaction has been slower than many predicted. The roster construction is under more attention than ever. Toronto relies heavily on a few star players, which mirrors past blueprints used in Calgary. When injuries appear or when production dips, the team's depth is tested. Right now, that depth is being tested heavily, and the results show a gap that has not been filled. A rehook becomes clear. The Leafs' identity now depends on solving problems that have not been solved yet, and those problems are growing while the team tries for body injury and still does not have a set return date. The team continues sliding. The pattern of losing has alarmed many observers, and the stability of the core group has been questioned more than once this month. In Calgary, during Treliving's tenure, similar struggles happened. When star players were unavailable, the team lacked enough depth to compete at the same level. Roster changes came late, and contract decisions were delayed. That timeline frustrated the organization before he left. Now in Toronto, the timing of decisions is being watched closely. The Maple Leafs have not made a major roster adjustment during one of their worst stretches of the season. That mirrors the pattern many hoped would not repeat. Coach Craig Berube spoke after the Montreal loss and called the performance inexcusable. He said the Leafs did not play with urgency after giving up early goals. When the coach acknowledges a lack of urgency, the next question becomes what changes will follow. Those changes have minutes. In Calgary, long stretches without roster help contributed to deeper issues, including players feeling unsettled about direction. Toronto is not at that point, but the lack of visible change invites comparisons that many hoped would not return. Depth on defense is another focal point. Toronto has struggled to maintain control in their own zone and has brought in any new help. That leaves the group fighting uphill without one of their most important players, and the strain is visible in their recent games. The struggles mirror what happened in Calgary during Treliving's tenure. Key players out, depth challenged, and delayed roster adjustments. The concern now is whether this pattern continues or breaks. Toronto's season depends heavily on that answer. Berube's comments underline the urgency. When a coach openly says the effort is lacking, the next step usually involves action from above. That action has not arrived yet. Observers expect movement, but movement has not been announced. Toronto is at a point where stability must be restored soon. Each shift, the roadmap ahead is full of questions. What he said could change everything for this team. Coach Craig Berube spoke up after his team's recent loss, and he didn't hold back. He said, "This is a veteran hockey team. It's inexcusable, and it's on me too." That comment laid bare the frustration in Toronto's camp and raised new alarms about how serious the slide has become. Berube pointed out how the Leafs fold when they fall behind. He said, "What I've seen a few times this year is when we get down a couple of goals, "We don't play with any urgency." That phrase struck hard for a team made up of experienced players, and people wondered what urgency looks like now. In the game he referenced, the Leafs lost 5-2 to the Montreal Canadiens. The team gave up too many goals, too many bad moments, and it all happened in the second period. The collapse raised the question, how do they stop this from happening again? Berube also took ownership. He said the fault is on all of us. His taking responsibility comes as the team's losing streak grows and the confidence dips. That honesty matters, but the effect will depend on what happens next on the ice. The Maple Leafs have been losing most of their recent games. They are veteran-loaded but still falling into bad habits. The coach's comments came at a point where results must change, or the room must shift. The tension is now visible inside the locker room. Another rehook. Berube talked about structure and mindset. He said, "We don't value the defensive side of the puck enough. That means the team's struggles are not just about scoring, they're about identity. Fans and analysts are now watching how the Leafs will respond. The roster is packed with star power, yet the losses continue. When a coach publicly criticizes effort and preparation, it signals that something major must adjust. The Maple Leafs face their next opponents with more on the line than just a win or loss. In practical terms, this affects how lines are deployed, how minutes are shared, and how special teams perform. When leadership questions start leaking into public corners, the team's unity and focus must tighten. The next few games will be very telling. Another rehook appears. The coach's words echo across the league. Other teams see the tension. Opponents know Toronto is vulnerable. The Leafs will need to fight more than ever to prove those words were not just talk. Despite the names and skill on the roster, the simple hockey fundamentals winning battles, checking hard, sticking to structure, are faltering. Berube identified those small details. When those fall apart, even a deep team can suffer. The growing doubt is now part of the narrative. The next stretch of games could define the season. If the Maple Leafs can't fix the core issues Berube highlighted, the losses may multiply. At the same time, a short burst of strong games could flip momentum back. That makes every crease, every play, every action matter. Coach Berube's message will echo at practice, in the locker room, and on the bench. But the true test comes in games. When pressure mounts and adversity strikes, how the team responds will show if the criticism was needed and if the team can handle it. The spotlight has turned inward for the Leafs. Questions about effort, structure, and defense are now louder than questions about scoring or star power. Berube made that shift. Now the media, fans, and opponents will see what the team does next. Another rehook. The next loss will not just be another loss, it may be a signal. The next win may not just restore confidence, it may reset the season. How the Maple Leafs handle this moment could define more than the next few games. In summary, but not the ending, Berube's public remarks open a new chapter for the team. The identity changes, the urgency intensifies, and the outcomes begin to shift. But whether this is a pivot point or deep slide depends on what the Leafs do on the ice starting now. The camera will watch the team's response. The players will feel the pressure. The coach has spoken. Now everyone is waiting.
Yeah, I didn't think the first period was that bad, but made a mistake on the first goal, second goal, it's a bounce. But what upsets me is we come out in the second period down 2-0. You think we're going to make a push, and we didn't.
Craig Berube didn't talk about the win. He talked about what went wrong. He said the Maple Leafs aren't playing the way they should. What he said after the game left people wondering how the team will respond. Craig Berube is the coach of the Toronto Maple Leafs. He is known for being tough. He wants his players to work hard all the time. But lately, he's not happy with the team. He says the players are not giving full effort. He says they do not play strong hockey for the whole game. In interviews, Berube said, "It's got to be better." That's the bottom line. He was talking about how the team played. He says they start strong, then stop playing hard. Or they play bad in the beginning and try to fix it later. He does not like that. He wants them to play hard every minute. He told the media, "We still haven't found that elusive consistency. This means the team is not steady. Some games are good, some games are not." Berube does not think that's okay. He says a team like the Maple Leafs should play their best every time. Berube also got upset during a game. In the locker room, he yelled at the players. One player said, "Chief came in and said a few things. You can use your imagination for that." That shows how serious he was. He was very upset with how they were playing. Some players agreed with him. William Nylander said the team's effort was terrible and unacceptable. Morgan Reilly said they played their worst hockey in a long time. Even the players knew they had to be better. Berube also made changes to the team. He benched a player named Matias Michelli. That means he didn't let him play. He said, "I thought he could give us more." After the player returned and played better, Berube said he was competitive all over the ice. These words and moves show that Berube is not afraid to speak out. He wants his team to do their job. He wants them to be serious. He wants them to win, but only if they play the right way. Berube doesn't just talk to the media. He shows what he means with his action. When he thinks a player is not working hard, he will take them out of the lineup. That sends a message to the rest of the team. He wants them to know that every shift matters. When Berube talks about effort, he talks about the full game. He says his team has not played a full 60 minutes. That means they may play well in the first period, but then stop pushing in the second or third. Berube says that is not good enough. He wants hard work from the first minute to the last. The Maple Leafs have good players. Their record shows they can win games, but Berube says winning is not the only goal. He wants the team to play with heart. He wants them to battle for the puck. He wants them to skate hard, block shots, and defend. He says without that, the wins will not last. Berube's coaching style is not quiet. It's direct. It's loud when needed. He does not hide what he thinks, and he doesn't give easy praise. When players work hard, he tells them. When they don't, he tells them that too. Fans have seen the coach get mad during games. They have heard his strong words after losses, but what matters most is how the team responds. Some players have agreed with him. Some may feel pressure, but Berube keeps saying the same thing. They must be better. Every game matters in the NHL. Berube wants the Leafs to play with energy, not just skill. He wants them to be strong from start to finish, and he will keep pushing them until they do. 3 years ago, the Montreal Canadiens were the worst team in hockey, dead last.
Matt, fans are left with hope for next season.
Yeah, of course, Maya. As difficult as this loss is, this elimination is for Habs fans, there is a lot to look forward to, and that's because the Montreal Canadiens are considered to be a young team in the NHL.
Trying to swoop in front, plays it in front of the net. Nick Waugh scores! Waugh has scored in overtime, and this series is tied.
Back to Matheson. Pettersson knocked him down. Just going to get away with it, too. Pettersson attacking from the side. He scores! Oh, man. No.
A complete embarrassment. Today, they're one of the most exciting teams in the NHL.
Frankie, you cover this team very closely on TSN's regional broadcasts. From what you've seen, what's the number one reason for this team's incredible start?
How did this happen? One man, Kent Hughes. And he had never been a GM before in his life. This is the story of how one man with zero experience outsmarted the entire NHL and saved hockey's most famous team. Let's go back to 2022. The Montreal Canadiens were a disaster. They had just lost more games than any team in the league. Their best players were old or injured. The fans were angry. The future looked dark. The team needed a hero, but who could save them?
The Montreal Canadiens have found their new general manager, naming Kent Hughes.
The Canadiens made a shocking choice. They hired Kent Hughes, a guy who had never been a general manager before, never worked in an NHL front office. He was just a player agent. People laughed. Sports writers said it was a mistake. Fans were worried. How could someone with no experience fix this broken team? But Kent Hughes had a plan, and it was brilliant. He knew something other teams didn't understand. You don't fix a bad team by trading for expensive stars. You fix it by being smarter than everyone else, by finding hidden gems, by making trades that seem small but change everything. Hughes got to work immediately. While other teams were panicking and making bad trades, he stayed calm. He made a promise to the fans. Trust the process. We're going to build something special. Most people didn't believe him, but Hughes didn't care. He had seen something in the draft that nobody else noticed. He had found players that other teams had ignored, and he was about to prove everyone wrong. This is where Kent Hughes became a legend. First, the draft genius.
So there's a little bit of a synergy there at that pick.
De l'équipe nationale des États-Unis from the NTDP program, as he walks Lane Hudson.
Oh, Lane Hudson. This was one of those guys that we didn't know how high he would go just based on his size. Well, sky's the limit for this youngster.
In 2022, Hughes picked Lane Hutson in the second round. Everyone said Hutson was too small to play in the NHL. He'll get crushed, they said. Today, Hutson is one of the best young defensemen in hockey. He just signed a big contract. Hughes found a star where others saw nothing. But that was just the beginning. Hughes drafted Ivan